Good morning. Welcome back, poker fans. Once again, this is Run It Up 2. We've got a couple of tables going today of 25 no limit. We're trying to double our pleasure. This is about the second or third hand we've played, and we're looking at pocket jacks here. This guy has raised at least 2 out of the 3 hands we've seen, so I think it's time to go ahead and raise it up with our pocket jacks, see how this guy reacts. This guy's a short stack we're not too worried about. We're happy to get it in against him. As a matter of fact, we'd like to go ahead and induce him to put the rest of his money in there. So if you were with us last time, you know that we managed to finally book a win again, get things back on track. We booked a win of about $50 for the old Run It Up 2 bankroll. You also may remember that there was a bit of weirdness at the very end, a disconnection issue that turned out okay. We got awarded the pot that we were in the middle of with the best hand. There was also a question about an extra $100 that was showing up in the poker client, and I theorized that may have been from a friend who'd made a deposit and that it was a referral bonus. Indeed, it was. I also theorized that I would have to play through to get that, and that is true. Only $25 of that $100 sort of were vested at the time. Nonetheless, the full 100 was showing up in the balance in the poker client, which is just a bit kind of sneaky of them to do. Nonetheless, I do want to clarify that bonus money we didn't do anything to get, so we're not counting that as Run It Up 2 money. I do have a distinct ledger for the Run It Up 2 project that started at $83. So we were up to just under $400 again, and although there was almost $500 to play with, only $400 of that really is sort of real Run It Up 2 money. So that's the number we're going to stick with. If we happen to get any bonuses just from time spent, promotional bonuses for points from having played, I figure those are fair game for the bankroll. But those will be a lot smaller too along the way, if they happen at all. I don't really know. I think there's a promotion running right now. We might get a few dollars here and there. So let's take a look at exactly where we are. Last time we were at 396 or somewhere around there. Did play for a few minutes over the weekend, added another $25 to it, so we're at $421.77. That is the official number to start the day. And we're feeling good. Last time we made a couple hands, they stood up, we pushed a guy out of a pot when we wanted to. So all is sort of right with the world. We hope it stays this way for a while. Wouldn't that be nice? I did get an interesting kind of offering from a Run It Up 2 fan already. Can you believe that? We were talking about things you can do to turn your luck around, how to appease the poker gods. It'll be interesting with that tiny betting if he goes a little bit bigger this time. Nope. But he will. Certainly a believable story that he just made his trips. It'll be a little interesting to see. Better than trips. So I'd like to share that with you. I mean, we tried a little bit of chocolate. That kind of seems to have done the trick, as a matter of fact. But I got a sort of symbolic hieroglyphic gift, and I'd love to share it with you. Let's see if we can do that. Shabam! There we go. Check that out. Designed on a coffee filter, no less. As you know, Run It Up 2 loves our morning coffee. We've got our second cup going right now, as a matter of fact. Let's peruse this again in just a second, because I think we have a hand behind there. Ace 5. Good enough. Let's raise it up against the big blind. Hot diggity. And ace-8 as we proceed to the button. We'll take that too. So this guy posted, this guy only limped under the gun. There's a raise against all those players as short as he is. Ace-8 I think we can pass on because we've got to get back to this picture. Let's check it out. So of course we have the poker represented. Look at, there's a little suited hand. And in prime display location, a beautiful steaming cup of joe. Fantastic. There's the money. This is the incense. There's a couple sticks of incense burning in a plant here. Looks like a bowl of rice. Beer. As much as we like a coffee in the morning, a beer in the evening is also often welcome to the run it up to team. So that's cool. How cool is that? I mean, that's original artwork sent in to help the cause. So, thanks. Thanks for that creative addition. Alright, King Jack, all this limping around, we just can't stand it. If nobody else claims to have a hand, we're going to claim to have a hand, and in this case, we're not jiving. We'll take 75 cents. No problem with that at all. Let's take a quick tour of the stacks. Look like there's a guy a little bit shorter here, 987. Otherwise, full stacks on the left. We've got a couple of short stackers here. One there, 569, 779. This guy's at 15 bucks. So, yeah, business as usual. It's nice to have a winning session when things have been going badly. Just, get the momentum back, regain some faith that it's actually possible to make a hand and have that hand win at Showdown. That's always a nice thing to do with a made hand. While we do have a pair, we can't imagine it's the best pair at that point. I mean, sure, there's plenty of draws and things like that going on there, but we'll just watch this one unfold. Considerably drier on the left. We're going to be happy to see bet this. Now, we have talked about low-level tails, and this being one of the most common, donk betting, especially from a flat call out of the blinds. Almost always on a board like that, it's going to be a lesser pair, the 10 or the 8. Even though there's not a whole lot of reason, really. I mean, if we had a queen there wouldn't be a ton of reason for us to be re-raising that pot. I mean, if you ask me, that's not the most believable story in the world. I mean, this guy could be saying, hey, what are you doing? You got a queen and you want me to fold right away? Why wouldn't you let me bet again? But it doesn't matter. I mean, you can be just about that straightforward. I mean, if we have a clue that he's weak, which we do from his donk bet, we can just go ahead and raise it up, encourage him to leave. Sometimes, as little sense as it makes, sometimes a flat call, although more consistent with the idea that we would have a queen there, and probably more likely for us to do with a queen. I think it doesn't do any good to tell that more likely story, because this guy just probably says, hey, he just called. That wasn't so strong. My 10 could be good. He could still be proceeding with ace-x and looking to make a pair. Or maybe he convinced himself that we were flat calling with a draw. So, there are non-believers out there who are going to understand that re-raise maybe is fishier than flat calling, but a lot of players, they're just looking at their hand. I mean, the kind of player who's going to donk bet with their 10 to see if it's any good is probably the kind of player who's not going to think too much about it and say, well, I can't. He must have a queen. Just that simple, that straightforward. But it certainly does seem that in that instance it was true that the donk bet was weak. Second pair, if there were two hearts out there, something like that, it could be a second or third pair. Could also be flush draw, that kind of thing. It's just people trying to go ahead and just take it down right then and there. Trying to sort of find out if they're good, and when they do that, I'm happy to give them an answer. Most often that answer being, no, you're not good. And this guy does not donk bet. He checks. Wouldn't be surprised if he calls, but nonetheless, we're going to continue. We can go again. A second bet might convince him that we've got him beat. He could be calling with draws. Could be calling with ace high. No real reason to believe. I mean, queen high is a little bit sketchy. A little bit of a delay there. I think we're going to go ahead and fire 3 bullets. I don't know what the chances of success here really are. If he had a draw of some kind, that should welcome him to fold it. He may still call with an ace high kind of hand. Set of kings looking great over there. Boy, he's still thinking hard. He doesn't want to fold it. He doesn't want to believe us. He could have that leads me to believe maybe a pair of fives or something like that. And as much as anything, that was also sort of tell-induced. You know, it seemed like he waited just a little bit longer before he checked. That's another one of those tells. He didn't wait an extremely long time. But sometimes, you know, that little bit of a wait is just trying to make you a bit nervous about where you stand. If you're bluffing, maybe try to slow you down. But we're not falling for that Bush League psych-out stuff. And we pulled it off. So, holy moly, what happened over here? I was watching him fold. It looks like we lost the pot with kings. He made himself a flush. That is unfortunate. Yeah, that was a little sad not to see exactly what he was holding. But either way, we were ahead when the money went in. $80 to see if we can complete our, I mean 80 bucks, 80 cents to see if we can complete our flush. Doesn't quite get there. That pair on that river probably not going to be good enough. Let's just see if this guy is the kind of guy to just insta-fold or let it go if he doesn't have strong holding. Sure enough. It's good to know early on what kind of behavior you can expect out of the people to your immediate left. Wow, 10s are the card of the day. There were 2 10s on this last board, 2 10s here earlier. There's a smallish bet. We're going to have to believe that we are well ahead. Now he slows down a bit. If he checks the turn, I think there's a reasonable chance he's going to check the river, so I'm going to go ahead and put the bet out there, and you never know. He could call with his ace. Looks like he did. So he was checking just for a little pot control if he always had the intention to call a bet. Five. Six, five, five, six. These hands, sometimes when feeling frisky, I think I have a bad habit of maybe playing non-suited connectors probably more than I should. I think it's environment dependent. There are certainly, the last couple of sessions we've seen some pretty passive tables, and at those tables in position I'm pretty happy to do it, just because there's such a high frequency of being able to take down pots with c-bets and things like that without any real resistance. But, at the end of the day, they're not the most stellar starting hands, and when you've been winning with them against a bunch of very passive players, you want to make sure you're not developing too strong a habit of playing every 5-6 you see and 7-8 unsuited. And from there, it's just a very small step to playing 7 of hearts, 5 of clubs. And bit by bit, kind of inadvertently developing a habit of playing worse and worse hands. Speaking of worse and worse hands, King 6, not a great hand, but against a guy limping on the button, shorter stack may make him less inclined to get involved. We know this guy is happy to fold without a decent starting hand. Not so number 2. Maybe an ill-advised bet here. We're going to take one stab at it. We know he was a little collie. This is why I'm really a little bummed that we were watching this guy's reaction to our bluff instead of keeping an eye on his hand when he made a flush against our set of kings. If he had, I suspect now that he probably had a pair and a draw on that turn, and with nothing left, went ahead and put it in. I can't imagine it was just a naked flush draw. It's possible always, and he just may have felt committed with it. But it would make a difference for a situation like that where we're c-betting that flop. Is he really willing to just float flops without having connected in any meaningful way? Here's another pot-sized bet. He did that before. We're going to say so long to the 3s. Among the non-suited connectors that I find it most difficult to lay down, Jack 10. Love the Jack 10. Suited, not suited. But he's a shorter stack. There's not too much point, I don't think, in messing about from the small blind with that. Let's see if he c-bets full pot again. 80 cents only. Could be interesting to keep an eye on him and see if there's a difference between the hands he holds when he c-bets pot and when he c-bets something less than full pot. Maybe it's a function of board texture, entirely possible he had a jack or a king. And as many people do, wanted to go ahead and take it down there before a third spade fell, something like that. Now that's an undue fear of the flush, but many people have that fear lurking within them, at least at these limits. Not only is it an undue fear, it's one of those things where you know, most of us know probably that you want that person to continue. You want them to be chasey. Get their ill-advised chasing money. Look at that. Look at that. 2 overs and 4 diamonds. We can raise it up. We can also flat call. Hope this guy comes in behind. You know, I think a flat call is okay. This is one of those spots where a lot of people go ballistic. Ace high probably leading anyway. Maybe losing to a bigger ace high. Not a gigantic reason to think that would work, other than the fact that he just checked on the turn. That may have been an indication that he was giving up. I mean, that seems like a pretty sort of crazily simple and straightforward process there. But again, 25 no limit. Sometimes that is highly effective. So if he wasn't that strong, he may have just folded to a re-raise on the flop anyway. It's possible we made just that extra bet out of him. And just as importantly, we have identified another player who's willing to fold without much of a hand, apparently. We know he likes to call pre-flop. Mr. Conservative on our left has re-raised, so I think we do have to take that seriously. If he's the kind of guy who's going to fold to a min-raise out of the small blind when he is in the big blind, no reason at all to doubt that he has got a reasonable starting hand working. It's not a giant re-raise. It doesn't scream, go away right now. Nonetheless, we have 2 hearts. One of them is the A of hearts. So we'll see what the flop holds. So a tighter 3-betting range there certainly has tons of aces in it. And anything strong enough to 3-bet any ace, strong enough to 3-bet if that's where he was at, we would expect to be stronger than our ace. Well, but once he checks, we've got to bet and see what happens in case he's doing that with a pocket pair or something like that, a smaller pocket pair. So another check. Now this could be a pair of jacks. Hoping he's good and trying to see showdown. Again, it was a long wait, or slightly delayed wait, before his check, which we often recognize as weak. But we haven't seen his hands. I think we can just check back. Because his having an ace is still... I mean, the chances of his starting out with an ace there were distinctly possible. It seems weird that he would check it. Unless he sees us as an aggressive player and was hoping to check raise, something like that. I think this big bet now, after checking and now suddenly blasting away like that, I think this is never a bluff. He either has a strong ace, like he may have had ace-queen. That's the kind of hand that he then might try to disguise by weakly checking. He could have... Well, I think that flush is very unlikely, but I would not at all have been surprised to see ace-queen. And once we don't bet, when we slow down, he may have thought his best bet to make money would be a big bet, hoping that we might theorize he was bluffing. I think, he could have had an even stronger hand than that, queens or something like that. Queens or aces. Either way, I don't think he was bluffing. I think it's fine to have tried one time. I also think it's fine to then let it go in the face of evidence. So it looks like we're just about breaking even. Maybe we can go one more orbit on these tables and creep a couple of dollars ahead. Because we're down 10 here and we're up 8 there. We'd be in good shape if it weren't for his flush, the flush against our set of kings. Seems unlucky, but on the other hand, maybe we were lucky. I mean, if it's going to happen, we're really happy that it happened against the short stack, right? So that's like a kind of run good there. That our beat was cheap. Just a small beating. Nothing too debilitating. So many different ways to run good or run bad. I mean, sometimes you make monsters and just nobody will pay you off all day long. That can be unlucky. Only 50 cents. I think ace jack is too strong to fold for sure. We could make top pair, top kicker. I'm gonna just check. That looks pretty good for us. He's got $18 left. And I think it's time, certainly, to... Over here, we're going to go ahead and bet on his check. He could have us beat. He could have overpairs. He could have a few things, but considering he's short-stacked, I think we're going to go ahead and do that. Chop it up. A little sad. His $8 could have rocketed us to profitability. But again, you know, aces were, but you didn't have aces. Could have happened. So maybe it was a fortunate moment after all. Four deuce not so hot, so look at that, the min bet on the gun going the distance. We've seen these threes before. They didn't do much for us last time, but all you can do is keep trying. Slightly stronger than pocket threes is pocket ones. And not going to limp call there. Let's try again with ace-king. Any ace, any king, we're going to be angling on just about any board to get our remaining $15 in there. Slightly tighter guy on our left. Slightly loosier, goosier guy on the right. Often enough we're ahead that I think we've got to bet that flop. If we get contradictory evidence out of this guy, we may have to take it seriously. Well, with any luck, somebody may be getting a little tired of this by now and willing to call with their ace high. Or with better luck, he's made a pair of nines. No such luck. Last orbit ho. So a couple of interesting hands. Today we saw kind of back to back a couple of interesting tells. We saw the donk bet. We saw the delayed check. We have sort of successfully been able to characterize a couple of players over here. So we're going to let that guy c-bet. Doesn't do it. No love for the queens on the left. 50 cents. You can't let that stand. You can't pass by an opportunity like that. Don't suppose he's going to pay very much. The amount doesn't matter. I don't think there's too much difference between 87 cents. Well, maybe just an even dollar. As quick as that was, maybe we could have won $1.50. He's had enough. He's disgusted with the way he's running. So yeah, we saw a couple of interesting tells. We think we have successfully categorized a couple of players and been able to use that to our advantage, knowing that this guy was a little more conservative, knowing that the guy who was on our right was a little bit more willing to put his money in the middle. And with the last couple of hands there, it looks like we have crept up to a small profit. Let's see exactly how much that profit is. 34.62 on the left. If nothing happens, well, let's see. We've got a couple of hands. If nothing changes, we'd be up 651 total. So with a little bit of time, chances are I'm going to carry on just a little longer this morning, maybe play another half hour. See if I can't pad the bankroll further. Gutter ball overcard. Now that is, again, a donk bet. Often weak. However, even a pair of fours, pair of fives, we're not loving. He's got a shorter stack. We're about to leave. I think we're going to pass. Probably could have called and then used this card to make a bet now on the turn, and quite probably taken it down, but he could have also been getting stubborn, and he did have a pair, and he would have called. Let's take one more whirl. As we know, not the guy we want to see calling on our last hand. Alright, we'll take the quarter. And how can we pass this opportunity by? You don't get King Jack every time. When you do, you can't turn that down. That's a proposition you can't say no to. Sadly, I would hate to turn our few dollar winning session into a losing session. Well, now he's going to bet with his 4 or something like that. If we weren't going to play, we probably should have just sat out, but hey, it is what it is. 2064 means that we made $5.26, raising thusly the Run It Up 2 bankroll to $427.03. And a couple of interesting things to look at along the way today, so that's always cool. Thanks for joining us. Questions, comments, stick them in that space below this video. Check back with us soon. Like tomorrow, we should be having another video on offer. So come on back, and we'll see you then.